Hello, my name is Fenaretti and this is a BookTube Newbie Tag. So for today I decided to do a tag just so the future viewers that I might have will have something to reference every time they wonder what kind of books I like. Although this is not exclusively a BookTube channel, like I will also be talking about movies. Movies and books are the two main topics of discussion. So question number one is, why did you start this channel? I feel a very intense need of expressing my opinions on books and movies. I cannot help but always want to talk about the things that I'm reading or watching. So basically, I would like to find like-minded people so we can discuss about movies and books to infinity because that's how much pleasure I get out of this. So question number two is, what are some fun and unique things you can bring to BookTube? To be honest, the only thing I can actually bring is my personality and my taste in books and movies. That's it, like it's as simple as that. I have nothing special, nothing that separates me from anybody else. I'm just a normal person who enjoys expressing their opinion. Question number three is, what are you most excited for about this new channel? The thing I'm most excited about is finding an audience, because right now it feels like I'm talking to the void, but it's fine because like even talking to the camera and talking about the things that I care about somehow satisfies my need of expressing my opinion. And although so far nobody has yet challenged my opinions and views, it's still satisfying enough to actually just voice them. Question number four, why do you love reading? Reading for me is one of the keenest pleasures that I have ever known, and it's something that really makes me feel like magic exists, because one word after the other makes you feel things, and that's insane to think about how strong words are and how much they can influence your life and the way that you think and the way that you express yourself and the way that you present yourself and the way that you view the world around you. So for me, books exist in order for you to escape and be and it's the only way you can be in somebody else's skin. It's when you're reading a book from somebody else's point of view. It's the best way to educate yourself, it's the best way to learn new things, and it's the best way to travel without even having to move from your own bedroom. Like both when I write and when I read, I want to feel things. I like the words to be lyrical in a way that they speak to my soul. I really want to feel like I care about these characters. I don't care about like smart writing, I care about being invested in people and their lives. And that's how I am as a writer as well. Like I really want people to care about my characters. Every time that I write a book or a story, I really want to trigger empathy for my characters. That's why I can never just write a happy book. Every time that I write something new and I give it to my mom or my brothers or my best friends to read, they're like, oh, are we gonna cry again? And I'm like, I sure hope so. I hope you will. You know, like I always want to create emotions because I feel like once something makes you feel things, you will never be able to forget it because it has a part of you that it owns. It has a special place in your heart. Question number five, what book or series got you into reading? I was always into reading. It's not like I ever needed to get into it. Like when I was a baby, my mom would read to me Winnie the Pooh books, and I was always excited when we would get a new book. But the thing that actually shaped my entire life and the way that I view books, movies, and the first thing that actually triggered my imagination was Peter Pan. I do not remember if I first watched the movie or I first read the book, but we did have a little book of Peter Pan. And it was purple, and at this point it's torn into shreds because of how many times I used to go through it as a kid. But that's the book that I feel like explains why I am the way that I am and why I'm up in the clouds instead of grounded in reality. And that's the book that I would say has influenced my entire journey in literature, because it's an amazing, amazing story. I think every child has this one story that really speaks to them, and to me, Neverland and escapism to that extent was extremely important. Question number six, what questions would you ask your favorite booktubers? So these are my favorite booktubers over here. Can you see them? I would ask them, do you still read out of pleasure, Or does this intense reading book after book after book drain your actual love of literature? Because to me, I can only read a book per week. I don't find pleasure in doing book marathons at all. I would never ever read more than one book per day. And I just don't find the joy in aggressively reading in order to reach like an insane goal like 200 books per week. Because when I read a book, I don't like reading it passively. I like to actually gain whatever there is to gain from it. So for example, Lord of the Flies is a very small book and I could realistically finish it in 2 days. But what would be the point of me consuming an entire story with philosophy and themes and messages in just 2 days? Because then I won't have it engraved enough in my memory, so the messages that it is trying so hard and so artfully to teach me to stay with me. Do you just consume it the same way you would consume a video game, that you don't really need to remember what you did the day before, but it's just the pleasure of reading? Because to me it's never just the pleasure of reading, because then I would just read like mindless books, which is not a bad thing. Like, of course I do read books that are brain dead, because sometimes you just need to feel happy, you know, you just need a book to just pick you up and like make you more motivated to go to the next big thing. I'm just confused. I see all those people having these insane reading goals and I'm like, is there an actual point to this, or are you just trying to prove that you can do this and you lose the substance? I'm not judging, I'm just asking, like, what's up? So question number 7 is, what challenges do you think starting a BookTube channel will be the hardest to overcome? So the biggest challenge I think will be being patient while I don't have an actual audience. It really takes a lot of strength to put 30 to 40 hours of work into a video and nobody caring for it. Once I actually have a core audience of a few people that actually interact with the videos that I make and care to hear my opinion, I think that's when all of my worries will be gone. I just care about people actually finding my content something that's worth their time. So that will make me feel like it's worth my time, because at this point my entire life revolves around YouTube, because I have 2 channels. You might not know this. One is in my native language and one is in English, which are completely different from each other. Like, if you see me in my Greek channel, you'll be like, who is this demon? Because like, I feel like I'm a different person when I speak Greek, and I am much more confident and I'm much more snappy when I speak Greek, whereas in English I feel like I'm this more gentle version of myself. So question number 8 is, when did you start reading? Like I mentioned before, there has never been a point in my life that I haven't been reading. I was always into it. It never felt forced, because as a kid I loved books so much. I find books to be extremely precious, so every time I receive a book as a gift, I find it the greatest and most thoughtful gift anybody could give me. And that's why, like, when I care about somebody, I usually gift them with books, because like, to me that's the ultimate gift you can give. I don't like receiving expensive gifts. I like receiving meaningful ones. Buying a book is so intimate, because you go to the bookstore, you look at the books, you read them, you read the back, you try to figure out what this person would actually enjoy. Like, you are really trying to understand somebody else's mind and their soul in order to find what they would enjoy. It's the best thing. Anytime I receive a book for a gift, like, oh my god. Question number 9. Where do you read? My favorite reading location is at a long bus journey. It's my #1 favorite, because when you travel somewhere and you have the scenery passing by while reading a book, I feel like you are so much more immersed. And I also tend to, when I read something or I'm listening to an audiobook, I tend to link the scenery with specific scenes. So from that point onwards, every time that I'm passing by some scenery, and I will be able to remember the scenes from that book that I have linked to it. Apart from that, I just read on my bed. So question number 10, what kind of books do you like to read? I do make an active effort of reading classics. Do I enjoy reading them? Sometimes. But other times I just know that I have to. So Of Mice and Men, it's not like I'm reading it for pleasure. I'm not getting any pleasure out of it. But I can understand that it's well written, and I can understand that this will enrich my mind and soul to some extent. So it's worth my time. So I do read classics, and every other classic that I read, in between I will read a book for pleasure. So the last book that I read for pleasure was Cricket Kingdom, which ruined me. And so the books that I usually read for pleasure are young adult novels, because that's the only audience that I care about. For me, I really enjoy literature that's targeting people that are younger than me or roughly at my age, because it's usually more hopeful and more upbeat, and it has more interesting stories than it would be to read an adult fantasy. And the books I read for pleasure usually tend to have some romantic elements, because I really love love stories a lot, and I like reading them, I like writing them, and I really want that element to be present in the books that I'm reading. Having said that, I do not read that many romance books, because even when I read for pleasure, I want to gain something out of it. So there's some books that I will read because I know they're mindless fun, but I tend to try to have a balance. I don't read that many books that don't really teach me anything at all. So I think this is gonna be the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed watching it. So at this moment, I would suggest that you subscribe to my channel. I would put a picture here, but my mom was very disappointed by my subscribe because it was not symmetrical, so I have to redraw it. You should also follow me on Instagram, where I do advertise my videos so you know when they're gonna be up. And I also do movie and book recommendations there, usually based on theme. And please comment down below any opinions you might have on anything that I said. Just comment. Can you comment? It really helps the algorithm if you comment. Comment your #1 favorite book, or a book that you love that everybody else hates. I'm just curious. Thank you very much. Bye! So, as you might have noticed, I'm really invested in having post-credit scenes, because I feel like it's a great opportunity for people who only care about my opinions to just leave the video and not be here. But for people who actually want to get to know me a little better, so they can figure out if they want to subscribe or not, this is a way that they would be able to get to know me. So for today, I have something to talk about again. You know how I mentioned that I always like literature that makes me feel things, and I also love to write books that make people experience intense emotions. So this is a little notebook that I used to keep when I was like 13 till I would say 16, in which I was taking notes for a book trilogy that I was structuring, which I still haven't actually truly begun writing, because I feel like I need to be much more experienced in order to give this concept justice, and I want this to be like the new Harry Potter kind of thing. So it's not the time for me to write it yet, but I will just want to show you some of the inserts. So with this notebook, because it was like, it's actually very tiny, like you can see it, I would like to have post-it notes. Post-it, is that how it's called? Post notes? Post-it? Yeah, post-it notes. I would have like little inserts. I would have like so many notes about the books and the characters, things expand, and like and why I'm showing you this is because like at the very end of it, I wrote what's my goal, and I have to translate because this is in Greek, but basically I say my goal is to write books that's gonna break thousands of girls' hearts, and that they're gonna make them cry with every character that I decide to kill off. So that's my evil plan, and nothing has really changed. Like, I have been consistent with my need to make people cry, which is so out of character, because if you know me, I'm highly sensitive as a person. I have so much empathy for anyone on the planet, but like, but for book characters, I'm like, how can I make this hurt a lot? It's funny. It's kind of silly to think about, but that was the post-credit scene. Thank you for sticking around. Bye.